finally. Thank you for your patience. Diana Rankin here with your weekly message from Phillip. And yeah, I had to start all over. Well, not completely at the beginning, but I had to leave what was set up and go back into the studio and start over and basically start over, but it went a little bit faster and easier this time. So welcome everyone. So glad to see you. And I think I'm live now. I think you can see me and I can see you. So if anybody's still there or if anybody is there, just give me a notice that yes, I am live now. We are having storms where I am, and I think that has a lot to do with it. It seems to anyway that the storms just kind of get in the way. Thank you, Juliet. I appreciate your letting me know that. Stacy says, hello, Juliet. Hello, Stacy. So good to see you both. And again, I apologize. I live in the country, so our internet isn't the best. And when there are storms or wind or rain or whatever, it seems to get worse. Sandra says, hello, everyone. Good to see you. And I hope your weather's a little bit better than what we're having in Ohio. You're in Germany, right, Sandra? Or Sandra? I believe you say Sandra. I apologize. It is gloomy, cloudy. Yes, we've had tornadoes come through. Fortunately, they tend to go north and south of me. And I know other people who that is happening to them now. And I don't think there was any, I know there were no deaths, and I don't think there was any major damage to people's homes like we've seen in the past. But we do have more storms coming through across the country. So if you'd keep us in your prayers and your hearts, we'd appreciate it. Sandra says, right, Germany, we have lovely spring weather. Good. A week ago, we were 78, 79 degrees, and now we're in the 40s. And next week, the low is going to be 22. This is not spring. Or it's an Ohio spring, a crazy spring. Anyway, we're going to get going here. And I thank you for your questions for the viewers. You can put them in the comments below, or you can just email them to me, or if you want, give me a call. If I'm not available, I won't answer if I'm with another client or not able to talk with you. If I am available, I will certainly pick up the phone and get your question. So thank you. I appreciate your questions, and thank you for the thumbs up likes. I appreciate that. And I really appreciate those of you who are able to come live, because it gives me the energy to do this. So thank you. And I will say, usually right after the video, I leave for a little bit, or at least go outside and go for a walk, because it is intense for me. Okay, so here we go. Our question from our viewer is, what is spirituality? How is it different from religion? And what does it mean to be both spirit and human? So here we go. We're going to talk about this. And Phillip, as you know, is my spirit guide, and this is what he has to say. And thank you. We will also get a message from one of my books, The Master's Book of Answers by Phillip. And as you know, it's an oracle book. So each page has a different message on it. And we'll get our message right after we tell you what Phillip has to say here about spirituality. Spirituality is the belief in the interconnectedness with all beings, the universe, God, spirit, everything. Spirituality transcends religions. There is no one God on high directing one's life. Although spirituality provides direction, it requires each individual to listen to their own moral code. If a person is spiritual, the moral code will ask them to practice kindness, empathy, love, etc. This is because spirituality is of the spirit, the truth of all life. We say you are both spirit and human because you are. You know, many years ago, and I think Phillip says this later, we do need religions in this world, but there are those of us that religion doesn't work for. So we turn to spirituality. Those who have neither their hearts may be a little bit different than ours, or they have something they believe in. We all have something, and it can be science, but something that we believe in. Unfortunately, there are also those who believe in evil or money. And so I think to be spiritual, whether it's through religion or through your own spirituality, is helpful in this life, because we want to practice love and a good moral code. And many years ago, as I started to say and got off the track there, a friend of mine at the time was very religious, and she kept wanting me to go to her church with her. And I kept saying, finally I did. And she said, it's non-denominational. And I said, but it's still Christian. And that's not where I am these days. And she said, well, all right, what do you believe? And I explained to her that I believe I'm part of everything, that I just feel this connection to everything that's not one God. And whether I call that God or spirit, I am connected. It is within me. And she looked at me and she said, but who directs your moral code? And that at the time surprised me so much, because I realized not everybody trusts their own moral code. And that's where religion comes in. For those of us who are more into spirituality, I think we're probably older souls, and we've already had many temptations and know what our moral code is. So if you're hearing the sound of my voice, chances are you are ready to recognize how deeply spiritual you are. You practice love. Phillip goes on to say, I want to reread that last paragraph and then I'll go on. This is because spirituality is of the spirit, the truth of all life. We say you are both spirit and human because you are. Spirit is everything and all that is. You may call this energy or God, but confuse it not with the gods of religion, who are too small in that they too often are more human-like than the God spirit energy of what we speak. For the sake of clarity, we shall call this all the energy. We shall also refer to spirit as the individual spirit of each human being, of each human or being. When the spirit is still in energy form, before becoming a human body, this spirit looks at the soul line of the lives it has created and lived in human and other forms. The spirit decides the path, and then it moves into a human form it creates through other human forms. The spirit with its soul then enters into human form any time from conception to shortly after birth. The spirit develops and grows, or it does so. As it does so, it may forget that it is spirit in a human form. If it remembers it is spirit in human form, it will become spiritual in its life. Knowing this, the human will know it is part of the energy. This is spirituality. If the human does not remember they are spirit, they will need a religion to help them with their moral code. The goodness of their heart will depend upon the God they worship, whether it be a God of religion or a God of money or a God of evil. As you can see, religion can play an important part of life if the God of that religion teaches goodness. The spiritual person may be involved with religion, but most tend to less ritualistic practices and more individual practices and connection with the divine energy. These practices may include meditation, study, art, music, ritual, and other like practices that allow the person to connect with their spirit self. In doing so, the individual learns the truth of themselves. They are the spark of the energy of all, the true spirit of pure love expressing in human form. And that's what Phillip tells us about spirituality, about us, spirit. We separate spirit and soul. Soul we see as the individual soul, and that's the soul line. And every time you come back into human life, you come as a spirit expressing in human form, but your soul is part of that. So we use soul and spirit a little bit differently than religion does, for example. Um, I have a video out there. I think it's called The Umbrella. What does the umbrella have to do with your spirit and soul, or something of that nature? And it explains the soul line and how that's a little bit different. The handle is the human form. It's been a while, but I think I'm remembering this correctly. And the rod is the soul expression, the soul line of multiple lives. And then the top, the umbrella part, when it's open, is actually the spirit, the umbrella of everything. Okay. Juliet says, beautiful reminder and message. Thank you, Juliet. We appreciate that. Let's get our message from the Master's Book of Answers. And yes, Phillip is a master. And yes, those of you who wish to work with spirit or work with Phillip, call him in. You're welcome to use him. He is a marvelous teacher. I will tell you, though, he can be tough. He can be what he thinks is funny. Sometimes some is, sometimes isn't. He can also be sarcastic at times, but he is a tough teacher. So just be prepared. I'm hearing left for the majority of us. So if you heard left, our intuition's in sync, and that's the message for all of us. If you heard right, pay attention. That's the message you need to hear this week. So page 278, this is the message for all of us. We must leave the known and travel through the unknown to return to the known. We must leave the known and travel through the unknown to return to the known. Oh, yes. And the spiritual journey is not necessarily an easy journey. It asks everything of us. But I want to say it's well worth it. You know, I've been reading old journals, and I've been on the spiritual journey a long time. And I have to say, it wasn't always easy. But it was worth it, because I have reached a point in my life, and did a while back. It didn't happen when I was 79, it happened before, where I reached a point where I'm so satisfied with myself. Am I satisfied with everything in my life? Pretty much. Not entirely, but pretty much. You can do it too, my friends. It's about living in love. Okay, if you heard right, which is page 279, pay attention. This is your message. Does not each artist paint a different picture, even when many look at the same landscape? Does not each artist paint a different picture, even when many look at the same landscape? I love that, because that says to me that when I'm talking to people and we don't have the same perspective, I can remember this. I can remember that your perspective and my perspective, we may both be right. We're just looking at the same object from a different perspective. And I have to respect that. But the message for all of us, you must leave the known to travel through the unknown to return to the known. Thank you, my friends. I love you all. Thank you for the love that you receive from us. Thank you for the love that you send to us. And little Piper's pretty much under my feet here. I think you saw her a little bit earlier in her bed back there. She's doing remarkably well. A lot of that is thanks to all of your healing energy and prayers you're sending her. So thank you. We do go back to the vet, I think it's 2 weeks hence. And we'll just have her checked and see how things are going. I love you. Sandra says, bless you all. Thank you, Sandra. And everyone, thank you. We love you. See you soon. Bye for now. Stay safe. Stay in love with yourself. And then love all others.